So it's been a full year since we completed, although we're not technically done, with our water system. We got it buried sufficiently to be protected from the elements. You recall, if you haven't already seen it, you'll recall that we filled the trench late last year, like maybe late November, early December. We did a video on it. We'll link to it in this video. We filled that trench with sand. That kind of got the water system where it would be protected for the winter. Well, we just ran out of water a couple of days ago, and that puts us in a really good spot. We wanted to run the system all the way dry. The last time we got water was about 4 months ago, and we really don't know how much water we're going through. We've wanted to put a pressure gauge on our water system since we built it. We just haven't had any time. Today is that day.
Our theory with the water system is that we don't really want to always have a ton of water on hand. We do want to have reserves, but we want to actually empty the water system and then fill it back up, empty it and fill it back up. At least that's the theory, because we don't really want the water to stagnate in the cisterns, even though they're below ground. So right now, we've got about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of water above the outlet. So we've got maybe around 200 gallons that are just sitting in the cisterns that we can use.
If you haven't already seen it, we did an entire video series on building, engineering, designing, and installing this system. It is a gravity-fed water system. We'll link to the playlist where we built this whole thing. It operates with no on-demand power. You'll see how we pump the water up from below, where we get the water, and all that stuff. The main problem, the pain point we have right now today, is that we don't know how much water we have on hand. So the big red flag was that the pressure in the system dropped rapidly. And that meant that we were basically running off the water that's in the pipe going down the hill. And as the head pressure diminishes, your water pressure diminishes. I actually purchased a pressure gauge that's been sitting on my shelf for going on 9 months. I'd like to get that connected and do a pressure test right now with the system empty, and that will help us to understand by marking the gauge on E. Then we can start hauling water and filling the system up for summer with the garden, fire, drinking, showers, living, etc. Once the system is full, we'll mark the gauge at full, and now we can monitor how much water we have on hand. From the looks of things, the sand that we used to fill the trench is doing fantastic. One thing we did learn though is that the water burial tape is buoyant, and so with all the water that was in the sand, the tape came right to the surface. Darn it. So maybe at some point we'll have to go back through, do a little trenching, and rebury the warning tape. It looks like there's already some vegetation that's growing in the sand. That was our goal, either that or bring just a tiny bit of topsoil up here and seed it so that this becomes just part of the hillside, which should help stabilize the sand. This, of course, is not beach sand, so it doesn't squish between your toes. And of course, we're not going to be heavily trafficking it either. So that's one of the many projects we try to complete today, is getting this pressure gauge ready to hook up to our water spigot. I specifically purchased this gauge because it is a particularly accurate gauge. That's in the spectrum of accuracy. There is a gauge out there for sale that's like an RV type pressure gauge, and what I think it's designed to do is so that when you arrive at a campground, you can hook it to a spigot, and that'll tell you what the water pressure is at the spigot, so that you don't hook like 85 psi to your RV and blow out all the fittings on the RV. But it's not meant to tell you 1 to 2 pound pressure differences. It's meant for 20, 30, 40. This pressure gauge is actually incremented in 1 pound increments. That's important because the system that we have, being gravity fed, is operating off of head pressure. And the tanks are a total of, I think, 54 inches tall, something like that. They're not quite 5 feet tall. And the calculation that we use to determine the amount of head pressure that you're going to get, I believe, is 0.43 pounds per foot of head pressure. So if the tanks are just over 4 feet or 4.5 feet, we would expect 4.5 times 0.43 would give us what? Around 1.6 psi, or pounds per square inch. That's the difference from the tanks being full to the tanks being empty. 1.6 pounds. That means that on this pressure gauge, it's only going to be about not quite 2 increments. If this gauge ends up not being accurate enough, we'll have to find something that is more precise in the range where we need it to function. So we have about 73 or 74 feet of head pressure. So we would expect to be right around 30 to 32 psi at the hydrant. I do know that when our system is full and there's no air in the system, we have fantastic water pressure for a gravity-fed system at 70 whatever feet it is of head pressure. It'll be really interesting for me when we get this hooked up to see what our actual water pressure is. In comparison, this is a gauge that we used for testing our hydronic system during our concrete pour. And you can see that the graduations on the gauge are quite a bit smaller. So this one is a much higher pressure gauge, but the accuracy is going to be a little bit less. And that's really the main reason for choosing a gauge like this. This one only goes to 60 psi, this one to 100. But this one is going to give us a much more accurate reading. And on the list of priorities today are these beautiful apricots. So we picked these about 4 days ago. And on top, these fruits were ones that fell out of the tree while Alyssa was picking. And I'm realizing that if you don't basically use them that day, they're just going to go off. And I'm also learning that the whole bad apple rule ruins the whole barrel. I'm worried that the bad fruit is sabotaging the good fruit. Either way you look at it, our time window to get this stuff preserved is pretty much gone. We had a friend stop by last evening and pick up 5 gallons, and then another friend just came by a few moments ago and picked up another 5 gallons. That only leaves us with 30 gallons of apricots. So Alyssa, she's out of commission today. I know, she has to have a day off, right? Well, unfortunately, she's off to the dentist. We want to make sure that she's in good health, so she needs to go get something taken care of. Hopefully everything goes smooth. She's going to keep in touch with me, but we got to give her a little bit of time off, guys. She's a hard worker, but she needs to take care of herself. So that's number 2. I'm going to be taking care of that. I'm going to try to get through getting the food prep done, and then Alyssa's going to kind of guide me on how to get some of the preserves made and then also salsa. No big deal. Number 3, we got over half, right at half of the roof done yesterday on the east side. Today, no roof. 3 things are happening today. 1, I've got to go get more materials. So some of the plywood that we're using to deck over the area in the loft that we're going to leave open, well, some of that's sheeting that we're going to use for our roof. But we're not taking that down. So I need to go get more. Also, the screw gun that we ordered to help put in the decking screws that we're going to use to hold the decking on the roof, that guy should be in. And then also we need to go pick up the screws for that. In talking with the membrane folks yesterday, they highly recommended nailing the membrane down in either vertical or horizontal or vertical orientation, because when it gets really hot, which it's going to do, we're forecast to get 100-degree plus temperatures in about 4 days, it will actually start to slide down the roof because its bituminous substance gets gooey and starts to slide under its own weight. So I need to do some research and I need to find a way to do that. I could grab some roofing nails or cap nails, I think they're called. I may actually look at getting a cap nailer. We've got a friend who's building an addition to his shop right now, and he's going to be doing a bunch of sheeting, tar papering, and house wrapping just like us. And I'm thinking it'd be kind of nice for both of us if we had a tool that could just do it with automation. And then we have visitors coming. I have some relatives that are on their way who have not been here since we first moved to the property. They were the first visitors we ever had, which is what makes it so exciting. They've been very supportive. They have not been here since we were chainsaw milling. Some of you folks may have not even seen those videos because they were so long ago.
We'll be sure to link to that stuff here. We chainsaw milled all of the materials for our hot tub deck. That's when they came to visit. That's how long ago it's been. So it'll be exciting. We'll hope to see them, and they're gonna come take a look at the house. And I kind of already know what their reaction is gonna be, but it'll be super exciting to see them. But they're coming in about 5 hours. So all that stuff I just mentioned, I've got to knock it out. Alyssa, when she gets home from the dentist, she's working really hard on getting guys a video out for you guys. I really thank her for that effort. She has been working side by side with me, and editing is something we're very passionate about, but it takes time. And so she has devoted her day to doing that and the dentist.
My goodness.
You're grubby.
We killed it.
You guys are messy.
Apricot.
Like a bunch of 3-year-olds in here with an apricot gun.
So that's 48 cups. That one is 56 cups.
5, 6.
So
I
gooey.
somehow stained my knife orange.
Really?
Look at that. It's pink orange.
Oh wow.
Is it satisfying to have that done?
But now we have to cook them, and I'm worried. Do you want to know what I'm worried about?
Oh gosh,
I'm
yeah.
worried that we have such a large batch that there's not going to be enough bell peppers and onions at the store.
That's a real concern.
It's a real concern.
So we are
They
using,
don't stock that many hot peppers.
we're using 8 times the recipe in the Ball Blue Book, right?
7 times. for
7
the jam.
times. And that's exactly how much sugar again for the preserves?
A lot.
Like gallons.
We'll multiply 56 by. That would be awesome. Thank you.
Looks like an apricot grenade went off.
That's very good.
So all of this waste is actually going to a local tree harvester who's going to clean it and wash the seeds, and then I think he may be either going to sell the seeds or plant more trees in his orchard. I think we just cleaned about 20 gallons of apricots in an hour and a half. Thank you very much for the help, guys. This was awesome.
You're welcome.
Killed it. And we earned our pizza.
Here's our first harvest of garden salsa peppers. There's a chance when these are full maturity or ripeness or whatever you want to call it that they're red, but I've seen people use them green too, so they're going in. That smells so good. You almost taste it.
That's
This
all?
is ready and this is ready. They're both ready.
Ooh, is it time to cook?
Oh yeah.
So the monster canner's plumb full of apricot salsa, and we still have a ton left to go, right?
32 pints.
Wowza.
And we still have maybe 32 pints.
Wow. Good job.
The system is working.
It's working.
We did a really large batch. We didn't even use our largest pot.
Yep.
My witch stir stick
working?
really well, yeah.
Okay, nice.
I can get all the way to the bottom of the pan and my hand's not burning.
Nice.
It's all working really well. So now
Cool.
we sit and wait and process huckleberries.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna turn these into jam today too.
We are, yep. And apricot preserves, which still need to be cooked and canned and everything too, so.
Yeah, so.
Okay, so then Anna's out doing errands right now. I'm gonna switch to doing water.
Okay.
And I wanna get this pressure gauge built. And then she'll be back with ice cream makings, and some of the huckleberries and some of the apricots, oh yeah, that's becoming ice cream. So I finally got the parts together to build this pressure gauge, and it looks like we're gonna need a couple of bushings to make it all work. While I was at the hardware store,
I did compare this pressure gauge to the kind that you can just screw onto a spigot, which are obviously really easy to do. But I found the same exact thing. The gradations on the scale are too wide. They're 100 PSI gauges and they're much smaller than this one. So I made the decision to move forward with this gauge. But a really sucky thing happened yesterday. There was a little yellow thing in the top of this gauge and it fell out of my pocket and I lost the little yellow thing. And I can't quite tell exactly what it does. There's kind of some instructions on the side. It seems like maybe it's a vent for the face on the gauge, because without that, the oil drips out of the face of the gauge. So not sure what to think. I put a small screw in there, basically as a stopper. I don't know if it's a good idea or not, but we'll give it a try.
Well, it looks like the static head pressure in our system right now is about 24.5 pounds.
That's quite a bit lower than I would have expected. So I'm not sure if maybe we have a little bit of air in the system already. We've been using a lot of water yesterday to do canning and for the garden. So I'm a little bit worried that what we've got going on is there's air in the system already. The volume of the tanks is extremely low right now because we wanted to test the water pressure when it was empty. But I'm thinking that we may already be decreasing the volume in the line itself, because we should be closer to, I think, about 32 to 34 pounds. So what we've got is, I brought some water home yesterday. I'm going to make a mark on the gauge, and then we'll pump just through the hydrant. We'll backflow through the hydrant and check it once we do that and kind of get another pressure reading, see where we're at, because we're trying to find the baseline, and I don't think this is where we want to be. I'm not really sure. I guess I don't trust this gauge yet either.
Well, we pumped enough water into this hydrant to make sure that the main drain line is full, and we're still sitting at 20, well, we're a little higher. About 25 pounds, so we gained maybe about half a pound.
I guess we don't have a really scientific way to test what the actual elevation change is here. I can't even remember how we figured that out, but we thought it was 70 feet.
And according to the math, our tank being 55 inches tall, we would expect to see an approximate increase in water pressure of about 2 pounds.
So let's put this tank of water in there, which is currently sitting at about 200 gallons, or about 10% of the capacity of our cisterns at 2,000 gallons. And we would expect to see, what, about 0.2 of a pound of pressure increase.
Well, the water's done pumping. It looks to me like we're down 0.2 of a pound. About a needle's width.
Anna is off doing some other errands for us and picking up more water. So when she gets back, we'll pump that water and see kind of how this transpires. We may have to nearly fill the entire cisterns to see a movement in this gauge. Of course, I have no idea if this gauge is even calibrated or not. That's all just a guess. In the meantime, it's currently Thursday and we pick up milk on Mondays. The thing is, we really haven't been drinking much milk because we've been on the roof.
No London fogs, guys.
LF30 stopped sometime a couple months back when it started getting hot. So the problem is we're kind of getting behind on our milk consumption, and it's a long story, but we don't really want to give up our milk because it's kind of rationed, sort of. So we need to use it. That's the best thing we can do. The problem is it's Thursday. We've never waited this long to pick up our milk, which usually comes on Mondays. And we don't really need it. We have enough milk to get us to next Monday. So we're going to go to Plan J and we're going to throw a couple batches of ice cream together. We have so much food set aside for mead and for jams and salsas and stuff that, well, we only get fresh fruit ice cream once a year. So we might as well knock it out of the park.
We also were waiting for this tool to arrive. I'll tell you guys more about that one and this one in tomorrow's video.
Wow.
Oh. Oh.
We should let Anna have the honors.
Little tang. That's so good.
Does it pass the test?
Oh yeah.
What do you think? Do we add chocolate to it, or like how do we make it even better? Never mind. Anna's the type of person that likes vanilla ice cream.
I do.
She thinks vanilla is a flavor.
It is. What are you talking about?
Well, Jesse and I think white equals plain.
Make sure the product is to specification.
Ooh, look at that chunks. Ooh, yeah. I didn't go into it.
40 something. Ah! Wow! Didn't break.
That's right.
Hold on.
No way.
Sweet. And it
popped.
We're good.
I got it on camera. It's so heavy.
We're good.
So you have one more batch of apricots to go,
And then I start the huckleberry.
and then huckleberry.
5:30. There's still time.
There is still time.
Somewhere
Wow.
in there, dinner has to happen.
And we've got a batch of huckleberry ice cream that's cooking over there.
That's pretty good.
I think I'm gonna go start round 2 of water for the day. Then I might start working on dinner.
All right, we're starting at, we'll call it 24.2 pounds.
Well, it looks like 2 tanks of water brought us up to about 24.8 pounds of pressure, right close to 25. I guess I'm not sure if that gauge is accurate enough. I can't really tell. So I guess we just need to keep bringing water in. We know roughly how many tanks of water we need to haul. It'll be about 8, but we're going through a lot of water right now because today alone, I'm pretty sure we went through probably 40 gallons. Ooh, right? Canning. So we'll have to bring lots of water in, and then Alyssa just noticed that the garden is suffering from the heat, which is not good. Good eye, love. Oh yeah, I see it. Lots of yellowing on the edges. So we've been dealing with 100+ degree temperature, full sun, and we forgot to turn the water up on the garden. Dope. Oopsie. But at least Alyssa caught it just now, so we'll add water and bump our watering up, and hopefully the garden will recover. Oh wow.
They're in the heat of the day. They're all over these flowers.
Isn't that something?
Maybe it's good because it distracts them from the tomatoes.
Right. Maybe they want to eat our fruit, but they're like, oh, look at these pretty yellow flowers. That's so ridiculous, guys. There's like one there, one there, one there, one there, oh, one there. I think suffice it to say, we killed it today. We were worried yesterday, both of us, I think, or stressed, or whatever you want to call it, because we had so much fruit that's sitting here potentially going bad, and Alyssa dominated the fruit preservation today, and she finished the huckleberry
Off camera,
of course.
Another 18 half pints.
Another
like
18 half pints of huckleberry jam.
You dominated dinner. It's almost 9. Haven't eaten yet.
9 o'clock. Yep. And we also got 20 pints of ice cream.
Wow.
Today. 20 pints. 9 apricot and 11 huckleberry.
And Anna got 2 loads of water?
And I got 2 loads of water. She did
Dominated
all
errands.
kinds of chores today, which saved us like 7 hours.
Wow, that's so crazy.
That's how we did it, yeah. So no work got done on the house today. But like I mentioned earlier,
to work tomorrow.
Exactly. So we basically have got this stuff off our plate, so the stress should be less and we can focus. Oh, sweet.
Isn't that huge?
Hey, little guy.
I say it's like the size of a fist, but like not in the fist shape.
My fist.
Oh, is there one in there? There's one in there. Look at that little guy.
Oh, hey there, guy. Wow. So probably all these buds will turn into squash.
I don't know.
Well, like these are turning into squash right here.
So some people say, oh yeah, this will produce 5 or 6 plants, and it looks like there's like 30 on here.
Yeah, I'd
but
go 30.
I would be shocked
Yeah.
if it produced 30 spaghetti squash, but I'd be happy.
Right.
That would last us for like 3 years.
You're doing good, love. The garden's killing it. Look at all these taters. Taters.
Oh, so do you.
Ooh, I think the carrots. Are these carrots? Yeah, they're carrots. They're doing pretty good.